Hello everybody, Lord Almighty here. Today is Sunday, May 21st, 2023, and I am here at the Raritan River with zero plan. I know I wanted to come here today, but I wasn't quite sure how to attack it. So I actually looked at some of my previous videos that I filmed at the Raritan River this time of year, and the videos were eclectic, to say the least, but they all had a common thread, and that's that fishing was not particularly good. So I'm pretty much going into this with an open mind, a clean slate, and I'm just gonna kind of let my gut be my guide today, which is kind of why I'm here. My gut told me I needed to check this place out today. So I'm just going to fly by the seat of my pants and see if I can't put some kind of catch together today. I'll tell you what though, regardless of how the fishing turns out, it is an absolutely sumptuous day to be fishing. It's not too hot, it's not too humid, the sun isn't too bright. I mean, when you look at the definition of a pleasant spring day, this is the picture that you're gonna see. So at the very least, I will enjoy the gorgeous weather. Fish on. Have no idea what it is. Doesn't feel too big. Oh, wow. It's a little striper. Look at that. Little rat striper. Okay. All right, well, that's something. And honestly, if I can catch these all day, I'd be happy. Not saying that I will catch them all day, but I wouldn't turn them down. Oh, wonder what that's all about. Is there an air show in the area? Interesting. You know, it's funny that I caught that striper, because when I was gearing up for this place, I thought about maybe bringing some heavy tackle and looking for stripers, because the water level in the river has come up a little bit from the rain that we had yesterday. But I decided no, I'm gonna stick to smallmouths, because the striper bite can be very erratic on this river. So I hope that wasn't a sign that I should have brought my striper gear, because I got nothing to handle a big striper. Alright, so I was fishing this run right here, and I had a couple of small fish nip at the tail of that swim bait. So I decided to downsize to a little curly tail grub, and I'm going to see if I can't catch whatever it was that was nipping at it. Couldn't get a clear ID on it. It definitely wasn't too big, but at this point, you know, I'm just trying to put anything together, so a fish is a fish. Oop, there we go, fish on. Oh, he's off. That was definitely a fish. Couldn't get an ID on him. But that's good. We got some takers on the little jig. I'll keep throwing this around for a while. See what happens. Ooh, that was another hit. I thought for sure he had that. That was like a legit thump. That felt like it might have been a bigger fish, but I don't know. It could have been a sunfish too. Ooh, that was another hit. there are some smaller fish out there. Still don't know what they are. My guess is they're probably sunfish, because that's a small jig and they're not even getting it all the way in their mouths. Oh, there was another hit. Wow. I don't know if it's the same fish or if there's a lot of fish out there. But either way, I'm getting bit on almost every cast. Oh, there we go. That's not a small fish. Well, it kind of is, but... All right, white perch. I wonder if that's what's out there. All right. Again, I'll take whatever I can get today, because my expectations, honestly, were not that high. There we go. It's a crappie. Well, I'm catching everything today. Oh, there he goes. Well, okay. Wonder what I'll catch on the next cast. Well, the bite here seems to have pretty much dried up, so I think I'm gonna leave this spot behind. Definitely a worthwhile first stop, though. I got something going and gave me a little bit of an insight as to what I should do for the rest of the day. So sit tight and I will see you in a couple of seconds. Well, everybody, here we are at the next spot. And I know I said that I was going to be targeting smallmouths today, but if there are stripers and white perch around, I've seen them stack up in this riffle before. So I thought I would come down here and throw around the little jig and see if I couldn't get into some. I should know pretty quickly if they're here or not. Ooh, fish on. This is a nice fish. What the heck? What is this? It's big, whatever it is, and I think I snagged it. I definitely snagged it. It's in the side of his head. Looks like a stickleback? Not a stickleback, a quillback. Come on up here, buddy. Oh, missed him. Come on, there we go. Oh, look at that. Okay, was not expecting to get one of these today. Snagged or otherwise. Hook is really in there. He wasn't coming off. Ooh, broke the hook. Well, he's free anyway. Well, that's interesting. Look at that. There's the hook that broke. All right, buddy boy, let's get you back in here. There he goes. Huh. Well, as you can see, I switched over to the swim bait because I wasn't getting any hits on the little curly tail. I don't think it mattered in that case, but just wanted to mention that in the interest of full disclosure. There we go, fish on. What do we got here? It's a white perch. All right. This is actually my second pass through here. Didn't get any bites on my first one, aside from that quillback. All right, maybe I'll stick around here a little bit longer then. Well, guys, did not get any more bites after that white perch. And honestly, I'm just not feeling it here. My gut is telling me I gotta move on. So I'm gonna listen to that and I'm gonna move on to the next spot. So sit tight and I will see you in a couple of seconds. All right, guys, here we are at the next spot. Seems like my gut always leads me back here, doesn't it? But can you blame me? This spot is so good and I have so much history here. And I also wanted to put this black hellgrammite back on to see if the success I had with it last week was a fluke or not. All right, guys, I have not gotten so much as a single tap at this spot, and my gut is once again telling me to move on, so that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I've got one more spot I want to try before I call it a day. So sit tight and I will see you in a couple of seconds. All right, guys, here we are at the next spot. This is going to be the last spot of the day because it was a decent walk to get here and I'm already a little gassed. So I'm probably just running out of energy at this point. But I picked this spot specifically because the last spot didn't turn anything up, which means the fish probably are not in the fast water. So I came to this spot which has slower water. And I am going to start out by throwing around a finesse jig because, you guessed it, that's what my gut told me. So I got a 1/8 ounce jig here with a crawfish trailer, and we will see if my gut is putting me on a winning pattern or if it's just hungry for a crawfish boil. Either possibility is distinct. Well, guys, nothing on the jig, but I have seen some surface activity, so I decided to totally flip the script, and I'm going with a pop R. We'll see what happens with this. Well, guys, I just made a lure change. I wasn't getting bit on the pop R, and there are a bunch of fish in this stretch right here that are rising. I don't know what they are. They could be trout, they could be smallmouths, they could be sunfish. But they're clearly eating bugs, which puts me at a disadvantage because I do not have a fly rod with me. But sometimes I can coax risers to hit if I cast in something that looks bug-like. So this is the buggiest looking thing I got right now, which is the little crappie tube, and I'm gonna see if any of them want to look at this. Oh, there he is. What do we got? Trout, rainbow trout. All right, well, you know what? I'll take it. I'll take a trout. Yes, all right. me get my hemostats. Where are you? Okay. All right, there's the bait. Okay, hook is out. I think he's ready to go. And there he is. All right, so it looks like these rising fish, at least some of them, are trout. It's not too hard to take. There we go. Another trout. Oh, get in the net, get in the net. There we go. Okay. Okay, buddy boy. You ready to go? Yep, there he goes. All right. There we go. Wow, he hit that a few times. Couldn't get him though. Ooh. Wow, there must be a bunch of trout out here. Wow. If these are all trout that are rising, there are a lot of trout here. They're coming up like 2 or 3 at a time. There we go. He just stopped it dead in the water. Looks like a bit of a nicer one too. Maybe an inch or two bigger than those last ones. Yeah, all right. All right, he's actually unhooked. Well, don't get hooked again, buddy. There we go. Okay. I think he's ready to go. He shows no signs of stopping. There he goes. There we go. And my hookup ratio on these fish hasn't been great. I've gotten like 20 hits out here, and they're just not hooking up, most of them. But this one did, thankfully. That's why I'm kind of torn about whether I want to change lures, because this is getting a lot of bites. And if I switch to something else, even if the hookup ratio is better, I might not get that many bites on it. This is one of those times where, like, it's not a bad problem to have, but it's still frustrating. Okay, that one's ready to go. There he goes. There we go. Oh, he came off. You see that? See, the problem is when you're working a bait like this, you know, twitching it like that, you're constantly throwing slack in the line and you can't feel the bite. And trout, unlike bass, they'll nip at the bait. They'll just grab it. They won't suck it in like a bass will. So depending on where they grab it, you know, that kind of influences the hookup ratio. So it's very inconsistent whether or not I can hook up with a fish that bites. That being said, I'm getting a ton of bites. So can I really complain? I don't know. There we go. He hit that one a couple times. And you can see how they're getting it on the edge of their mouth. They're not really taking it down, which means they're just kind of nipping at it. And I'm getting a few, but I'm missing most of them. Again, do I really have a right to complain? Probably not. Well guys, the fish made up my mind for me. I made a lure change. They stopped hitting the little tube jig, so I switched over to this little Rapala. And I also switched spools. I switched over to a spool that has monofilament as opposed to braid. In the past, I've found that when I fish for trout with braid, sometimes I will pull the hook right out of their mouth on the hook set because of the way that they bite. So with the stretch of mono, I'm thinking that it might give just enough for the fish to get it fully in their mouths. I'll tell you something else that's changed. This wind has kicked up and I'm not seeing these trout rising anymore. I don't know if that's blowing all the bugs away or if it's just making it difficult for the trout to see the bugs on the water now, but I'm just not seeing any fish coming up anymore. Well, the trout have started rising again, and they have completely been ignoring the Rapala. When they're keyed in on bugs, it is really hard to get them on spinners or jerk baits or what I would call typical trout lures. So I made another change. I switched over to this dark colored curly tail grub, which kind of has its own action, which means I don't have to constantly keep twitching it to get their attention. And I'm hoping fishing it on at least a semi-tight line will allow me to feel the bites well enough for me to hook up with these fish. There we go. Whoa. I'm actually glad I was using mono on that one because he absolutely slammed this thing. Easy. Okay. You're all right, buddy boy. Go on home. Yeah, I think if I was still fishing with braid, that lure would have ripped right out of his mouth when he hit it. But because the mono stretches a little bit, there was just enough give, so I didn't lose him. Well guys, my gut is telling me that it is hungry and it is time for me to go home. So I'm gonna call it a day. Very interesting day of fishing. I showed up focused on catching smallmouths. Didn't catch a single smallmouth, but in just kind of trusting my instincts and letting the day play out as it would, I wound up having a pretty good day of fishing. So I think when fishing gets difficult, trusting your gut is definitely a valid strategy. Because even though I didn't accomplish my goal of catching smallmouths today, my gut steered me towards a pretty interesting and pretty fun day of fishing. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I will see you on the next adventure.